Hey everyone, welcome to Zoomtopia, Zoom's annual conference. Specifically, welcome to the Developer Summit. I'm super excited to lead this session with you today, Developer Tools, Zoom API Testing Made Easy with Postman Public Workspace. My name is Gianni Latange. I'm a developer advocate engineer here at Zoom on the developer relations team, and we're going to get into all of the benefits of using Postman public workspaces, specifically Zooms. Here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about what exactly are Postman public workspaces. We're going to go over an overview of the Zoom public workspace, do a workspace demo, and I'll leave you off with some developer resources to help you in case you need to troubleshoot something, offer a suggestion, or just chat. Important to note, please leave any questions or comments that you have about the presentation or the workspace while the presentation is happening. We will not have a live Q&A at the end. All right, so Postman public workspaces. It's a great way to build, share, and collaborate. It's a cloud-based user-created workflow on the Postman platform. It consists of anything related to APIs. So if you have a public API that you'd like to use, you can set up different environments or monitors to efficiently use the API, etc., in a public way. That's what makes it so great and such a collaborative tool to use. It's specifically for developers and technical decision makers who are using public or open source APIs. Again, it's free to use, so all you need is a Postman account, and then you can start creating your workspace. But we'll get more into that in a little bit. Now, the Zoom public workspace is where you can find dev-friendly, already done for you API workflows and our Zoom developer API collections that exist. So it's free for you to access and use. Again, the workflows have been done for you. We have a bunch of streamlined requests to get access to the Zoom API endpoints. It helps reduce your time to first API call, especially if you're a new developer on the platform. It's actively maintained and updated, and it allows for easy API testing. Don't forget to collaborate and share with other folks who might be using the Zoom APIs so that you can work asynchronously on the same or different things by leveraging our public workspace. Here's how to actually use the Zoom public workspace on Postman. Here we have our prerequisites. You need a Zoom account, first and foremost, a basic understanding of APIs, such as what are they, how do you make an API request. But if you don't, I promise you Postman has some great information and tutorials on Postman itself that you can use to help with the exploration of the Zoom public workspace. You also need a Zoom Marketplace application so that you can grab those application credentials. We're going to need those to get our access token to actually make requests to the Zoom API endpoints. Here's how you go ahead and set that up. You navigate to marketplace.zoom.us, hit develop, build an application, and you can use any of these application types except for webhook only app. This is because with webhooks, you don't make API requests. It's an entirely different thing, but all of the other ones work and have application credentials available for you to use. Of course, if you already have one of these app types on your account, you don't need to create a new one to use our public workspace. You can just grab the credentials from that app. So let's go over some app credentials tips. Let's take a look here. App credentials are your client ID and your client secret, but they can also include an account ID, such as in this example for this server-to-server OAuth app, and you can have production and development application credentials. You'll have production and development application credentials if you have an app that is set to intent to publish. Now let's get into actually using the workspace. You need to log in or sign up at postman.com. Now you navigate to and bookmark the workspace link. Here it is up here, highlighted in yellow. Make sure to also watch that workspace so that anytime there are updates to the workspace, you already have those notifications delivered to your Postman account, either through the browser or if you download the Postman client. Now it's time to fork the Get Started Fast with Zoom APIs collection by navigating to those three dots at the folder level of the collection, and then you'll be able to select Create Fork. After that, it'll direct you to this page where you can name the forked collection as well as select Watch Original Collection, again, so you stay up to date on any changes that are made in the collection. I also want you to take a look at what it would look like once you have your forked version. So navigate to those three dots again, and there are a couple of things I want to highlight as key features that make using our Zoom public workspace even better. The first is view changelog to see all of the updates made in timely. The first is view changelog, so you can see exactly when all of the changes have been made. Next, pull changes. This will make sure all of the changes that have been made to the master branch are now updated on your forked version, so you're always using the latest one. Lastly, create pull requests. I love this feature because say you make some edits to your own forked version that you think would help our larger Zoom developer community, you can submit a pull request and we'll review that and possibly merge that with our master branch. In this way, we all get to collectively benefit from your awesome thinking and work. Now it's also time to familiarize yourself with the collection level variables. So at that folder level, when you click, you'll see a tab called Variables. And then I want you to also note the current value. Here is where you can replace the current value with your actual credentials across the Zoom developer platform products. So if you have an OAuth application with production and development credentials, replace the current value with those correct values. If you have a meeting SDK, video SDK, etc., make sure to update the current value with your personal application credentials. This will make it even easier to use the workspace collections because, as we mentioned before, it's already done for you. So it'll allow you to just update them here in one location, and then those variables are already populated where they should be so that when you make your requests, there's less work for you to do. Now you're almost ready to make your first API request. But first, we have some pro tips. Make sure you start with the API authorization and authentication by app type folder. You have to use this folder to get a valid API access token. An access token is needed for API requests to Zoom's API endpoints. Now, the OAuth app flow will be the easiest for new devs, specifically the Easy OAuth 2.0 using Postman's authorization tab. Again, make sure you update and you use the collection and request variables as you develop and test. This will make the process super seamless for you, so there's like less back and forth between the Postman workspace and your marketplace application. Make sure you also use our collaboration features, such as pulling those requests from a forked collection version and commenting on the master branch. You can leave comments when you have a question, you have some feedback, etc. And myself or one of the other developer relations team members will see that and integrate your feedback in our next iteration of the public workspace. Now it's actually time for a demo of that workspace. Now that we've just reviewed just the basics about the Zoom public workspace on Postman, I'm actually going to do a demo to show you exactly how to use it. All right, so here we are on the workspace. We have a cute little intro here. I'm already logged into my test Postman account. I don't need to create one. And I'm just gonna get started and fork this API collection, get started fast with Zoom APIs. Of course, if I need all of the endpoints from any of our other developer API products, they're here, but I just wanna work with these curated workflows for now. I hit create a fork, and now I'm just going to name it Zoom API, get started fast, that works for me. Watch original collection, that's super important because I want to know anytime there are any updates or changes to the original collection. Create the fork of the collection, and bam, here it is saved to my personal workspace on Postman. Look at this documentation on the side. There is documentation available pretty much throughout the entirety of the collection. Let's take a look at the variables. These are all the variables that we already have preloaded and populated within the workspace collection to be used across our Zoom developer products. I'm going to be working with an OAuth app, and I'm going to add my development client ID and development client secret so that I can get an access token so I can make a request to the list, meeting, and webinar templates API endpoints. Go over to your application in the app marketplace. Here mine is. I'm on the app credentials page, and these are the credentials that I'm going to hide. Notice the client secret is hidden because this is sensitive information, so I'll make sure not to share that part with you. But let me go ahead and grab my client ID, and I'm going to replace that. Here in the current value, hit paste. Do not hit enter because you see this little thing here? This means that you're going to have an extra space and it's going to say you have an invalid client ID. So make sure there's no space, hit save, and then I'm just going to stop sharing briefly while I grab my client secret. Client secret is grabbed. And remember, I'm using development credentials here, but you can use production if you have an intent to publish app. Doesn't really matter. Making sure I save. And I am done out of that. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, so now it's time to actually authorize. And let's go into the OAuth app. I'm going to use the easy OAuth 2.0 method. And that's this get request right here for the initial access token. Click the authorization tab, and everything has already been populated for you, y'all. It's super easy. Something important to note is you want to make sure this callback URL here that Postman provides is added as your redirect URL for OAuth so that it's able to go through. The redirect URL is essentially the allow list, so it knows, so that Zoom knows which endpoints or which URLs are basically allowed from you to access the Zoom API endpoints and authorization. Now that that's all set in stone, I can click Get New Access Token. And yeah, it's essentially making sure that I confirm this and I hit allow, and my access token will pop up for me to use. Okay, I am going to just name this token Postman test off. Hit use token, and that's fine. It'll be expired by the time you watch this, so don't worry about it. Otherwise, you should not share your token with anyone. Now I am going to get out of this API authorization collection folder and go to the list meeting and webinar templates one so that I can see if I have any meeting templates on my test account. Let's see. First, I need to make sure I go over to the authorization tab. Actually, let's do the authorization up here. I am going to click OAuth 2.0 and click my available tokens and select the newest token that we just created, hit save. And this way it'll apply to all of the requests in the folder. So when I have this inherit auth from parent set, it's gonna pull that token from the folder level to use. Now with this specific endpoint, I don't need any particular query parameters and things like that. I just need to make sure I'm using the correct user ID. And since I'm checking my own account, my own user, it's the me parameter that gets passed through the URL. And I'm gonna hit send, and voila, I know it works because I got the successful API response, this JSON response body that tells me I have 0 templates available for use. Okay, so that's for meetings. And let's just check out webinar. I don't think I have a webinar plan actually, so I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's just see. Yep, that's correct. It says I don't have the scopes for a webinar, and that makes sense because I don't have a webinar plan. But y'all, that is just to show you how easy it is to use our public API workspace. All right, something else to note is that if I wanted to make any particular edits on my personal fork, I could do that. And then I could also create a pull request if I thought that they should be merged with the macro branch of the Zoom API Get Started Fast collection. So, well, right now, since it's not public, they, you know, the developer advocates wouldn't be able to view it, but I would have to make it public so that they can see it and then merge it with the original master branch. Let's go back to the original master branch because I also wanted to show you the comment feature. So I can go into one of the folders and say I had a question about live meeting controls. I could hit the comment button and I could ask a question. I could make a statement, what have you, and then add that comment, and then one of the developer advocate engineers will be able to see that and be able to integrate your feedback to make this workspace better. So that concludes this quick little sweet demo about the Zoom public workspace. We're super excited for you to start using it. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of Zoomtopia's Developer Summit.